You're listening to Three Kitchens Podcast, a member of the Alberta Podcast Network, locally grown, community supported. Now let's get cooking, 'cause I'm starving. With Pod Power, our sponsors are making it possible for us to amplify the voices of Albertans and Alberta podcasters. This episode, Edmonton Community Foundation is helping us give a Pod Power shout out to Your Forest, is a podcast about the natural world.
Hearing stories about the environment, renewable resources, conservation, forestry, hunting, fishing, and more. This is a podcast for those who cannot live without the joys and wonders of all wild things.
Find Your Forest wherever you get your podcasts or at yourforestpodcast.com. That's yourforestpodcast.com.
Hello and welcome to today's episode of Three Kitchens Podcast. This is Erin Walker hosting you through another fun and budget-friendly recipe today.
Oh, budget-friendly.
Yes, I'm going to bring some tips and tricks for money saving because my children are eating me out of house and home, and maybe yours are too.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't got around to saying hello to Sarah and Heather.
Hello, Erin.
Good morning.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
We're excited to be here.
You can tell this is our second recording of the morning because we're awake now. Or Erin sure is, anyways.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm awake.
Well, you're talking about budget saving, but I was reading this article about something that is not budget, maybe not budget friendly in all cases, and ends up being stolen quite a bit. So I wondered, what do you think is the most commonly stolen food or beverage product in the world?
Water.
I mean, I would just go with the impulse stuff at the cash register, like a chocolate bar, but it's probably not there. What do you think, Sarah?
Apples. Oh, interesting. It is cheese.
Oh.
Isn't that weird?
I get it.
It's expensive because what?
And it fits in your bag.
I guess. Okay, so cheese is the most frequently stolen food or beverage item in the world. An astonishing 4% of the world's cheese ends up stolen.
I'm sorry. I'm going to start laughing again. It's so ridiculous.
I know.
Oh, boy. Okay.
And this was studied, actually, by the Center for Retail Research.
It was studied, you guys.
Yeah.
How was this studied?
I guess they probably talked to retailers about what most commonly disappears off the shelf.
God, these academics sometimes. Sorry, I have to.
Sarah, they study cow farts, so you know they're studying stolen cheese too.
Stolen cheese. All right.
Cheese is stolen more often than alcohol or junk food. And I read this article in time.com that had more cheese puns, more cheesy cheese puns in this article than you could even... It's like, this is not Gouda for supermarkets.
Oh, yes.
That's so bad. Anyway.
All right, I love it.
It's to be expected.
Oh.
Okay, and apparently it is not just random shoplifters who steal cheese to eat it themselves. Most of that 4%
Don't tell me there's a cheese cartel.
larger scale black market operations.
Black market stolen cheese.
It is a cheese cartel.
Yes, and it's resold to shops and restaurants. So retailers are then buying black market cheese.
We're gonna call this the queso cartel. Just so you know, this is the official name now. We
should go to a restaurant and before we get kicked out, turn to the owner and go, I know where you got this cheese.
Yeah. Okay, listen to this. There was one incident, a cheese theft included a 2-year operation running from 2014 until 2016. Thieves operating in Italy's province of Reggio Emilia, it doesn't really matter, never mind that, stole an estimated $7 million worth of Parmesan cheese.
I guess if it's a big operation, then it's worth it.
Is this kind of like the maple syrup scandal of a few years back when a whole bunch of maple syrup was stolen in Canada? Like, these are very...
I remember this, yeah.
Yes.
But I think this is ongoing. Like this is not just one time that some cheese was.
But look, if you can steal $7 million worth of cheese, that's one thing. I was just sort of imagining.
Then she's all for it. She's all for it. If you can steal,
go quick and make your profits.
Yeah.
If you're carrying all those rolls of Parmesan or whatever, however they come in. But I was just imagining someone going in and sort of grabbing a piece of cheese and putting it into their pockets and then reselling it outside. This is where
you guys want some cheese?
like showing the other side of their coat, and it's got all this cheese hanging on it. Which one do you want?
I got the strings. I got the baby bells.
And Erin's got the voice character that I've made up in my head.
Now I'm imagining like this. We just watched The Italian Job, so I'm imagining like a heist, but they're like rolling wheels down like a cobbled street.
Yeah. And I believe there's some types of cheese, like what's like not allowed in, say, the US, like unpasteurized
cheeses and stuff, right?
And there's like
Canada too.
I think there's a whole like black market of the unpasteurized specialty sort of cheeses.
It's the raw milk market
because it's
not allowed legally, and people like
raw dairy market.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a whole thing on how people think raw dairy is like curing their kids.
Oh dear.
Okay, no, guys, I don't want to go into this realm. I was having fun with the last one.
But now who's the Debbie Downer? It's not me.
I put all my perk into the introduction. Now I'm bringing y'all down.
Oh my God.
Just like the rest of me.
Now she's back to the tits up.
Now I'm back to the boobs that are just hanging down. Just bringing you down, ladies.
Oh, this show has gone off the rails.
Wow.
Okay. What are you cooking?
I am bringing in a budget-friendly recipe that I've kind of taken and come up with over time. It's not anything groundbreaking. It is a chicken and rice dish. Chicken and rice.
Chicken and rice is always delicious.
Chicken and rice is always good. And this is a Central American spin on it called Arroz con Pollo.
Oh, yum. I don't know why I said that, because I've never eaten it.
It just sounds really better when you say Arroz con Pollo.
It does. It totally does.
Okay, so this is something that is going to teach you to take a whole chicken.
This is good.
How to chop your chicken and save the back so that you're not throwing anything away, because you're going to take your backs from your chicken and use that to make this meal.
Oh.
So I'm going to teach you how to chop up a chicken.
You better video this.
I am going to video this, and it's going to be on our YouTube page. So Sarah, your video editing, get your fingers ready. And I'll explain all the cost savings in the second half. You're going to make a stock using the backs that you saved from chopping your chicken. And then with that broth, you're going to cook your rice in that broth. And then you're going to debone your backs and take all the extra meat that's kind of just left behind when you chop up a chicken. And that's going to be the chicken that goes into your chicken and rice. And then a bunch of yummy vegetables. And then this has a couple things that are from Costa Rica. The achiote paste, which is annatto seeds that are kind of made into like a powder or a paste that adds like a really great red color to this. And my favorite thing that I source from there, the Lozano salsa. So it's a sauce that's made from a whole bunch of spices and stuff that you don't need a lot of, that you can source at a Latin American store, and just adds the greatest flavor to this. And you can make this as a side. If you make enough of it, it can be a main. You can have it in the morning. You can have it for lunch. And I kind of call it like a free meal in my house, because I'm getting all the meat from the leftover part of my chicken that I don't even intend to really cook up, right?
Yeah.
So,
what kind of rice?
It's a long grain rice with this. Basmati.
Which is actually a great rice when you cook it in stock. I think basmati, the long grain, is the way to go.
I like the long grain in a stock. And this one is really good because when you, like on your backs of your chicken, you've got a nice big strip of fat.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you make this chicken stock, it's got a lot of fat in it, and that just makes that rice so good. Like you need that layer of fat with your broth when you pour it in to cook it, and it just it just adds so much good flavor. And this will create extra stock that you can keep and freeze in your fridge or freezer. And this is going to make a delicious stock that you can use. This is going to teach you how to save money on your price per kilogram for chicken, and your family's going to love it.
Nice. A lot of goals with this one.
It's a great camping meal.
Nice.
It's delicious and warm and yummy. And I find it's pretty quick and easy to make, even if you have to make the stock that night. So,
well, this
good.
is, yeah.
Sounds delicious.
I don't have a lot to say right now, but hopefully I'll produce a whole bunch of good content.
I have never chopped apart whole chicken. So what kind of knife do you need for that? I don't think I have a proper knife for chopping apart a chicken.
Just a regular knife.
Oh.
The key, I'll go into this in the second half, but I will give you the advice here. I won't make you wait. The key is you never go through the bone. You always have to cut at the joint. And then you're good.
Okay.
Time to roll up your sleeves, get your hands dirty.
Butcher hour.
It's going to be, I'm teaching you, I'm butchering, I'm making stock, and then we're using up all those leftovers to make a meal. So I'm going to compare the kilogram price of this chicken that you can buy to what you pay for boneless, skinless chicken breasts and for bone-in, skin-on chicken thighs and drumsticks. So, I mean, this is a great way to cut your cost in terms of price per kilogram. I kind of like the fact that instead of buying a chicken that's been processed and chopped up in a factory, you're doing it at home.
Great idea.
All right. That's all I got to say about that.
It's going to be good.
Today's episode is brought to you by The Pulse. Want to start your day informed? Check out The Pulse, Taproot's daily news briefing.
The Pulse tells you what you need to know about Edmonton every weekday morning. You'll get short, informative updates about what's happening at City Hall, plus coverage of business, tech, food, the arts, and more.
You'll also get a little bit of whimsy from features such as A Moment in History and the weekly podcast pick. And it's free. Sign up today at taprootedmonton.ca/pulse. That's taprootedmonton.ca/pulse.
Bienvenidos a los Tres Cocinas.
I think I'm supposed to say hello now.
Hola.
Hola. We're back with Arroz con Pollo.
Oh, got it.
She's like, what's with the Spanish?
Now I know why we're speaking Spanish. Or you're speaking Spanish, so I'm not.
Well, the thing is, the time between first recording and second recording is sometimes enough space that we forget, like, the name of the recipe. Yeah, what do we do? What are we working on?
What did we eat?
Yeah. Well, I remember what I ate. I just didn't remember what it was. The name of it.
That we always seem to remember.
Yeah.
The food's there, the words are unimportant. But for everybody else who wants to know the name of this, it is chicken and rice or arroz con pollo. And I thought I would
say it in French now.
Riz avec how do you say chicken?
Poulet.
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 Oh my God, cut that out.
Yeah.
Riz avec. No, I'm putting that in.
She has too much power, Sarah, the editing power.
That's true.
Oh,
That's
I
true.
do.
But then we're the two idiots that keep talking.
It's true.
So you can't really blame her.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure my Spanish is impeccable.
Sounds good to me, but, you know.
Ha! See? Fooling everyone. So, we've got this chicken and rice that is money saving, that is teaching you a new skill, and I think is pretty freaking delicious. So, let's start talking about the chicken. Or I got a whole chicken and I chopped it into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then chicken wings. 8, 9, 10, 11. So like 11 pieces is what the chicken turned out chopped into. Sorry, I had to do the math there. Count all the things.
She's counting on her fingers. 11 fingers she's got.
It's one of those special skills I have. When you go and buy a whole chicken at the store, I wrote down some prices while I was there. and this is the per kilogram price, a whole chicken, and I bought the free range, blah, blah, blah chicken. So you could get it for cheaper per kilogram than this. So I even, I bumped up a bracket to the
fancy chicken.
The fancy chicken. The chicken who is probably raised the same way, but they're marking it up by putting a different sticker on it.
So cynical.
Whatever. So those are $12.32 a kilogram. If you wanted to go and buy chicken breasts, you're paying $23 a kilogram.
Oh.
So right there, you're saving $10 a kilogram just to chop up this chicken and get the breasts if you want.
Good stuff, Erin.
So great saving. Also, if you want to buy thighs or legs that are bone-in, skin on, you're still paying $13 a kilogram. So you're still saving money on every piece of meat per kilogram. And you are gaining an extra piece, that back of the chicken, that you can't go buy chicken backs, but they are an awesome way to make your broth, and the meat that you can harvest off the chicken backs is used in this recipe. So I like to call that free meat, because essentially this is stuff that would just get tossed away.
Right.
Free meat! Free meat! Woo!
Come over for some free meat, guys.
If anyone ever tries to sell you free meat, probably don't go for it. But you can trust me.
Okay. Yes.
Go onto YouTube and check out this video of how you can chop your chicken into pieces to save yourself money. And I did this video in real time. It took me 6 minutes to do. When I first started doing this, it took me more like 15, because it took some time to get the hang of it. But essentially, you are cutting through the joints on all of the bones. So you don't need like some big fancy knife. You don't need a ton of strength to do this. You just have to know where to find the joints. And you can cut through those to make your chicken legs, your chicken thighs. Taking it off the breastbone is a little bit finicky, I'm going to say, just because you have to feel around and find that little spot where the breast tissue connects to the middle
cartilage, or
like
cartilage.
I'm not sure, the middle breastbone of the body.
Thingamajig.
Yeah, thingamajig.
The technical term.
I claim not to be an anatomist, so I will go with thingamajig.
A chicken anatomist.
I'm not
And free meat. All right, sorry.
So you can really save yourself money and time doing this. I like to save all my chicken wings when I chop up my chickens, and after every 7 chickens, it's wings night in my house.
Right.
I use these backs to make my broth, and I get the free meat off of them. And I plan my meals so that I use the breasts and the legs and thighs.
Nice. No, that's great. Sounds great.
Yep.
So it's a great way to stretch a buck, especially now that prices are going up.
I was just at the grocery store yesterday.
Oh, I have to go
Broke
tomorrow.
now.
Yeah.
So to make this chicken stock, you're going to take the backs of 3 chickens. You're going to add 12 cups of water. You add tomato, onion, red pepper, celery, carrot, garlic, peppercorns, thyme, and a bay leaf.
Okay.
So throw that all into a soup pot. Boil it on the stove for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. One thing I really like about making broth out of these chicken backs is there's lots of skin on the chicken backs, and so you get a nice fatty broth.
Right.
And I really like that chicken fat when you go to make the rice. If there's a good amount of fat in the water, or oil of any type, it really coats like a long grain rice nicely. And so it's not as fluffy and sticky. It's more like coated in that so much good flavor.
Yeah.
Oh, I get so excited about this.
Yeah. She's really excited about
I
this.
am. So after about an hour and a half to 2 hours of boiling your chicken stock, it will reduce by about 1/3. So you'll get about 8 to 9 cups of broth. You only need 2 cups of broth for this recipe.
Okay.
So that means you have about 6 extra cups of broth
To freeze.
that you can put into mason jars and toss in your freezer.
Nice.
So now, not only are you saving money on your chicken meat, You also don't have to buy cartons of broth.
Well, you got homemade broth. That's fantastic,
You have
right?
homemade broth. And it tastes 110 times better. The other great thing about this is I never salt my chicken broth when I'm making my chicken stock. Make it unsalted so that when you cook with it in your recipes, you salt at that point. And then if you're adding it to something that's already got salt in it, it doesn't over salt it. And so that you can kind of adjust those levels, but just remember to salt to taste anything that you cook with your broth, and then you're good to go.
Nice. The only thing you have to remember, as we hear from Erin every so often, is to plan ahead and take it out of the freezer because when it's in a mason jar, it's a big block and it takes some time to thaw.
It does.
So just keep that in mind. I also like to put broth when I make broth, I put it in ice cube trays.
Yes.
And then when they're frozen, pop them out into Ziploc bags. And then you can just take out the number of 12 ice cubes, makes 1.5 cups of broth when it thaws out. There you go.
Fantastic.
Cute. Okay.
Thank you, Heather.
It's more work because you got to do all the little finicky, stupid ice cube trays and then pop them out and then do more and then pop them out. Like, it is more work for sure.
But that's a great way to keep them for instant broth on hand. All right, so you've chopped up your chicken. You've made your own chicken stock. You're going to cook your rice now in 2 cups of this broth. So a cup of rice and 2 cups of broth to make your arroz for your arroz con pollo. And then you've got your chicken backs that you've taken out of your broth. I recommend putting them on the counter for about 15 or 20 minutes so that they cool down because it's really hot picking off all the little pieces of meat off of the chicken back while they're piping hot. Off of 3 backs, I get about a cup and a half to 2 cups maybe of meat off of those backs that goes into this. That's the free meat, guys.
Free meat!
Free meat! All right, so you can put that in a little container. You can toss that in your freezer. You can make chicken salad if you want with it instead. Like, even if you're just making the broth, using the backs to make the broth,
Right.
you can use that free meat wherever you want.
Right.
However, I recommend you use it as your pollo in your arroz con pollo.
Is anyone keeping count? Start having a drink every time Erin speaks Spanish.
Yeah. Now, for the vegetables, you're going to, on a medium saucepan, heat up butter and olive oil. You're going to fry up onion, red pepper, garlic, carrots, and a cup of frozen corn. Fry that all up until it starts to soften. And then you're going to add in your spices, which are something called achiote paste, salt, cumin, and paprika.
So achiote paste is just chili paste, right?
No, achiote paste is a paste made from annatto seeds.
Oh, right.
And so you can find this in a Latin American specialty store. I was at the Unimarket just yesterday picking some stuff up, and one of those things was achiote paste. If you keep it in your freezer, it will last forever. And it doesn't have a super strong flavor, and it's a great dark, like very bright red color. So it adds a great color to things. Like the paste usually has some other stuff mixed into it, so it makes it's got good flavor to it. You can use it for marinating meat. You can use it in a whole bunch of different places.
Nice.
Okay.
Pantry item you might want to get. So once you've got it all fried up, you're adding in at the very end 2 tablespoons of Lozano salsa. And this is the key ingredient that makes this taste so super duper wonderful. It is a Costa Rican condiment that I don't know what is in it. It is a whole blend of vegetables and spices and stuff. You can also throw in a can of black beans. I was going to do this and completely forgot to buy some because I thought I had some in my cupboard. So yours was sans frijoles.
She's talking Spanish again. Have your drink, everyone.
Reviews.
Oh,
it's time.
did you hear, listeners, what went into it? Of course it was freaking good. It was flavorful. It was so flavorful. The rice was flavorful. It was great.
It's a bit like a fried rice,
But without the fried rice texture.
Yeah, it's not quite it's not the same texture, but it reminds me of a fried rice because you got your veggies, you got your meat, you got kind of whatever spices in there. And I think you could scramble egg and toss that in if you wanted a little extra. I always like egg with rice. I think it's good. It was mild. Like there's nothing in it that's like gonna hit you. Like there's it's not spice, but it's just like this consistent, warm kind of flavor. I didn't even really know how to describe it. It's just like,
it's like comfort food, and it wasn't like no one ingredient popped out at me. However, you could taste that the rice was flavored. And the other thing that cooking it in this broth, in the fatty broth, was that each rice was not sticky anymore. So it was all like individual grains of rice. If that makes sense. You know what
It's like fried rice, but without fried rice.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I mean, that's maybe not a good analogy because I can't quite describe what I mean, but I would just say that it's like the Spanish version. If you're used to like a fried rice, this is sort of like an alternative that's not fried, but gives you that same sort of comfort.
Yeah. And I love the fact that you've utilized every single part of the chicken. You've like drained it for everything that it's worth.
If I'm paying $12 a kilogram for my chicken, I want every single piece of chicken off that bird.
Even the juices for the broth.
Even the juices for the broth.
Okay, I have a question about broth.
Go for it.
As I'm cooking, when I've got vegetable odds and ends.
Yes.
When you've got like the carrot end or the celery bit that maybe you're not eating, or the leaves from the celery, or like little spare onion bits or whatever, I throw them in a bag and I keep it in the freezer. And then when I want to make broth, I put that in. Do you do that when you make your broth, or is it all like?
So for this one, because I'm using, so if you look at the recipe, half an onion is used in the broth and half an onion is fried up for the vegetables. So I usually just take a whole onion, chop it in half goes in my broth, half I dice up and I use in my veggies.
Okay. Yep.
Same thing for the red pepper, but I do keep my cut off ends and I use that in broths as well. I kind of have two broth recipes that I use. This one I specifically use for the Arroz con Pollo, just because it's got some different things in there, like the red pepper, like the tomato.
Yeah.
Whereas my other broth doesn't have those things. Maybe I'll post both broths up on the website. And really, you can do whatever you want for broth. As long as you're putting some veggies, some spices, and the chicken in there.
This is really delicious.
But that's a really good tip of don't compost the things that you take off, like your carrot cuts and your celery ends and your onion ends and whatever. Don't compost it. Toss it in a bag and make your broth out of it. And then you're sucking the juice out of those veggies before they get composted.
You can keep the peels. If you've washed a carrot and then peeled it, the peel's good. Just toss that in your bag too, right? Just compost the rotten stuff. That's what I always like.
If it's mushy, say bye-bye.
Yeah. But anything else you can pretty much keep and make use of.
Yes, that's a good tip.
This was delicious. And I've never butchered a chicken. So I am going to be carefully watching that YouTube video and learning, because honestly, I will buy a whole chicken because it is cheaper, but I'll usually just roast the whole chicken. And then we use all the bits and pieces and then the bones go in for the broth.
Right. Yeah.
Another tip actually is you could freeze those bones for later. Yeah. If you didn't want to make the broth the same day, just put those backs and whatever bones into a bag or container and put that in your freezer for later as well.
That's exactly what I do, because often I am not going to buy 3 chickens and butcher all 3 chickens unless the bag of 3 chickens is on the buy me now shelf.
Sometimes it is.
Sometimes we do get bags of 3 chicken.
If you get 30% off of $12 a kilogram, then you are paying $4 less. You're paying $8 a kilogram for your chicken. Guys, the numbers make sense. Look how you can save money around your food. Like, it is so exciting to be able to save money and eat better. Homemade broth.
Totally.
Learn how to do this new skill and save some money.
Sounds great. And it tasted delicious.
And eat well.
So when you make it for your family, Erin, do you just do 1 cup of rice?
3 backs, the 1 cup of rice, the can of beans, and then all the vegetables.
Okay.
And you can choose, because depending on how your kids feel about all these ingredients, you can serve the rice with the veggies on top and the chicken on top. You can mix it all together like I did for yours. You know, you can add the beans in, heat them up in another pot and add them in per serving if you like beans or not. Like, you can really customize it as to what you like. And the fried egg on there is always good. If you have the time just to fry up an egg and flop it on top.
Oh, yum.
So many ways that you can change this up and make it delicious.
Yeah.
And you can even cook your fried egg in a little bit of that Lozano salsa, kind of like Sarah made her pesto eggs.
Oh, yum.
And then your egg is like, wah.
Yeah.
Yummy.
So good.
You can also, if you have leftovers, put it in a wrap.
Yes.
With like lettuce and cheese, shredded cheese and
tortilla
avocado. Yeah, in a tortilla wrap. My kids love when there's like leftover Spanish or Mexican rice. Wrap it up. It's really good.
Absolutely.
This is a great versatile recipe.
Yeah, versatile dish. You can eat it so many different ways. You can customize it to whatever you like. You can make leftovers go farther. And if you just ate a giant turkey and you've got leftover turkey,
yeah,
ding dong.
Great.
Put it in here, darling.
Ding dong, more free meat.
Ding dong. Great job, Erin. I love it.
I hope everyone goes out and gives this one a try, because I think it is such a delicious, tasty meal, and it is good stuff.
Yeah. And it comes at a great time when prices of food is really skyrocketing.
Yeah.
Everybody just do it how you do it and go make arroz con pollo. And
what she said. Go make what she said.
Gracias, amigos.
Gracias.
Ciao.
And now for the fine print. Join us over on the socials, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Pinterest, and on our website at threekitchenspodcast.com. And remember, when you like, follow, subscribe, and review, it helps more people find us. Thank you so much for listening.
However good your Spanish is, your French just wow.